lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. He missed the complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
If you believe in forever and life is not a white flag lap, if there's a motorsports heaven, you know there's a hell of a race on tap. With apologies to the Righteous Brothers, we float in a new South Wales sky, looking down at a racetrack that now exists only in motorsports heaven, our memories, and the iRacing service. That's right, today, the defunct Oran Park Raceway plays host to round 3 of 15 in the iRacing Drivers Association's GT3 series, and all the action will be carried live as it happens here on the Global Sim Racing channel. In just under 15 minutes, the flag man will show the green to a competitive grid of Mercedes, BMWs, Audis, McLarens, and roofs, releasing the rolling thunder towards the first left-hand bend of this 2.6 kilometer track. There are 3 short sprint races on the program, but more about that later. Right now, get your big screen set up to display the internet. Pull a couple of unicorn kebabs off the Barbie, get a frosty stein of Barliman's Best. Crank the handle on your recliner chair and enjoy the 3 simulated sprint races that will be streaming to your location. G'day mates, and welcome to another GSRC broadcast. I'm your host, Bill Soups On. Samuel Ryman is on assignment, so joining me in the booth is Sean Ambrose. Turning the knobs and pushing the sliders is the hardest working man in sim racing broadcasting, Joe Peak, and at his disposal will be the visionary camera locations provided by the renowned Dougie Beard. This broadcast is made possible thanks to the good folks at The Screwed Gamers, Kart Action Media, and Zanardi Course Australia. And there is 500 Australian dollars in the prize pool. So if you were with us last time for round 2 from Darlington, you saw Richard Green Eggs and Hampstead fend off an aggressive Kane Kujimiya for the win. Jared Fussell came in third, with season debut winner Joseph Piesnik scratched his way to 5th place result. The series has several formats. Today is arguably the most intriguing of the lot, and it is the Super Sprint. Pay attention to the changing shadows as qualifying sets the grid for the 15-minute morning sprint. Those results set the grid for the 15-minute afternoon sprint, and those results set the grid for the late afternoon points-paying 20-minute main event. One thing each sprint will have in common is the racetrack. Sean, tell us a little bit about Oran Park Raceway.
Well, Bill, what I am going to tell you is I'm so glad that iRacing got out there early in the days of iRacing, got this track scanned before the government of New South Wales took it away from us and turned it into a housing development. But it lives here on iRacing, and brother, it is a classic. Love this track. 12 turns, as you see here on screen, 1.64 miles, Bill. Not a lot of space out there, a lot of runoff indeed, but not a lot of distance to get it done. And I got to tell you, here in the part of the section where you get into turns 3, 4, and 5 and up over the bridge into 6, 6 comes up very quick, people. You get to the top of that bridge and you're turning, so you got to get off the power and into the turn, and it's very, very tricky down through there. Now you are going to have that nice long straight from turn 12 up across the start finish line, but it's really not that long a straight. Again, this is only a 1.64 mile track. I've gabbed enough about it though. Let's take a quick ride around in the Global Sim Racing channel lap guide.
All right, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC BMW, so let's do a lap around Oran Park. Coming down the front stretch, be careful if you go too wide, because turn 1 is going to be a tricky affair with a challenger forcing you to go side by side. You're braking and turning simultaneously, meaning what would be a good place to pass becomes an extremely difficult single file corner. As you exit, swing back across the track to set up for 3. This corner works best as a late apex, but it's tough to resist the urge to turn in earlier. It's only a short burst after that before you're slowing up once again for 4. This is another odd corner because 5 comes immediately after, but it's taken essentially as one long curve. Up across the bridge and then glide it through the long sweeper of 6. The challenge doesn't let up here because you're going to have a blind crest at the entry for 7, which then flows straight into 8, making your accuracy to the racing line critical through them. Now you'll brake again for 9, but be careful on the exit because the car gets light over this hill and can easily oversteer. Switch sides and you're going by memory over the very blind 10-11 chicane. No time to relax because now you've hit turn 12, a street course-like uphill bend that'll test your guts and prowess. Get it as close to that outside wall as you dare and ease onto the power to get the best run to the finish line so that now you can say you finished a lap around Oran Park.
And there's a lap around Oran Park by Amjad Yaman for GSRC. Let's quickly take a look now at the point standings. Now this is our 3rd event, and keep in mind that all the drivers get 1 dropped week, and these points are not going to take that into account. Richard Hampstead has posted a 1st and a 3rd. Joe Piesnik has a 1st and a 5th. So why are they tied at the top of the charts with 260 points each? You guessed it. Hampstead has been tagged with 10 more penalty points than Piesnik. Sean will talk a little bit more about those penalty points a bit later. Coming off the 2nd at Donington, Kane Kugimia rests in 3rd. Still looking for his first podium is Simon Fiegel. 2/3 of Jared Fassel's 60-point gap from the lead is a result of 40 penalty points, more than any other driver in the series. Keep in mind the drivers need to compete 75% of the main event distance to earn any points, and as we mentioned before, they do get to drop 1 race. Let's go over and take a quick look at the team championship now. Fassel and Kugimia has Ann's Motorsports on top by a comfortable margin. Michelle McLeod and Hayden Dodman sit 7th and 9th in the points respectively, but when you combine their efforts, it puts Torque Inc. 1 in 2nd place. Piesnik and Scott Tamlin has Element Motorsports in 3rd. The solo effort from Hampstead has Team TTL in 4th, and the final spot in the top 5 goes to Team X-Ray, manned by Justin Strickland and Phil Gadd. So Sean, we've talked a little bit about the venue. We've gone through the Drivers' Championship and the Teams' Championship. Let's take a second to talk about a couple more things here. The race details and then the event format that's a bit unusual tonight.
All right, Bill. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's start with the weather report here from beautiful Narellan, New South Wales today, this morning. The temperature 94 degrees on the track, Bill. Pretty hot out there. 82 degrees ambient temperature. Got a lot of humidity today, about 71%. So this track by nature, a little slick, a little hard to handle, hang on to the car. And we've seen several guys sliding off here, lots of places to run off. But that temperature, very important today. Here in the series, sir, they no fast repairs. You're not going to get them. Take care of the car. Again, you've got plenty of room to run off. There are a couple of trouble spots. You don't have much room to run off. You'll have to watch out for those. A couple of these cars don't take a beating too well, so that is going to be a big factor in this race. Incident cap. There's no incident cap, but they do review these races and they do penalize. So. Anyway, we've got let's talk about the cars we've got out here today, because we've got some great GT3 machines on track. We've got the Mercedes, the fairly new AMG Mercedes, and the BMW, which has been around for a while now, the Audi R8, the McLaren MP412C, a favorite of mine, and the roof spec is going to be out here as well. So they don't allow them to switch these cars out mid-season, so you have to be dedicated to that manufacturer for the whole season, Bill.
And then we have also, we can talk about what, as we went through the race details there, you see the graphic up on the screen right now. Let's talk about the format today. 3 stints. Sean, how does this work?
All right, well, we got, basically, it's not much different than your local Saturday night short track. in that we're running 2 heat races, and the first one is going to be here in the morning, and then we are going to run the second heat race in the afternoon, and then we will run our 20-minute main event. Will be, in fact, in the late afternoon, and again, that'll be 20 minutes. The heat races will be 15 minutes each, and like I said, it doesn't vary a whole lot from what you may see occasionally at your local Saturday night short track.
Now, what's going to be interesting is this, not only it's a different time of day for each one, it's morning for the first session, afternoon, and then late afternoon for the last session, the main event. But the drivers only have 10 minutes to get used to the changing weather, so they get a little 10-minute warm-up before each race. So that could play a lot into it, how quickly they can adjust to if the weather's cold, or in the afternoon it could be hot, maybe there could be overcast even. The clouds could roll in for one of these sessions.
Yes, sir, and as the conditions of this track change, so does the style of the driver and how they get around. You've got to make those in-car adjustments to your driving style now, because this is an open setup. They can make adjustments on the fly from the cockpit. Certainly, if you've got a nice button box array, you're capable of making many adjustments, depending on what kind of setup you're running at home, what your rig is like. You may have limited options, so it just depends on how you program everything. But again, because of the open setup, you do have that advantage of being able to make certain tweaks to the car that may help it handle better under the changing conditions. Now, we know pit stops aren't going to be a factor, but tires could be. There is a tendency to overdrive these turns, Bill, and when you do, it's hard on the tires. You're on the binders and you're burning things up, so going to have to watch a lot of that today. I got to tell you, I can't wait to watch these guys get over the bridge at speed back there and have to make that right-hand turn as they come off that bridge. That is going to be very exciting to watch today. Maybe even see some side-by-side racing there, and if you do, it'll be risky.
And Sean, we don't have to touch on this for too long because it really doesn't play into a factor, but I realized as I was practicing on this track that there won't be any pit stops, and that's probably a good thing with this pit entrance.
Oh, man, we were talking about that in the pre-race. Yeah, so someone challenged me last night to find it, and they said, look for the yellow cone and just dive it in there. Well, dive it in there, no, that's not going to be the call. It's literally threading a needle halfway up the front straight, and to get into that pit box is a very, very small entry. There's not much. It's very tight. There's very little room on either side. I think maybe you've got about 2 feet on each side of the car getting in there, and so it's going to be very tricky, very hard to get in. Hopefully you don't have to worry about making a pit stop, but if your car is in trouble, you may have no choice.
Now, I imagine you might want to, the only reason that would ever come into play here is you're trying to salvage some positions. Remember, the finishing order from one heat carries over to the starting grid for the next one, so you might need to pick up a few spots there, but hopefully the pit entrance won't be an issue. Certainly it won't play a factor here. We talked about the cars that are in here. The first 2 events that we covered, we'd only have 3 manufacturers showing up. That was Mercedes, Audi, and then, of course, the McLaren was in there. But we have a few wild card entries. This is a closed session, a closed series where the drivers sign up in the beginning, and it's not free for people to come in, but they are letting a few wild card drivers come in. We have 3 of them today. Mark Reiner, Aaron Farmer, and Gary Hamilton are joining us for the first time. The good news for race fans is, Sean, that 2 of those drivers have brought in the BMW. So we'll have 4 cars here today. The roof still, no love for that machine.
No, not seeing that here. Unfortunately, no roof in the field. Got certainly one of the BMWs on screen there. That's the trying to see whose car that is right there.
Gary Hamilton, it looks like.
Gary Hamilton, that's right. Gary Hamilton there.
So we have a few other news. Evolution Racing has kind of teamed up with Logitech. So they'll be running a blue scheme here today. That's good news for that team. Certainly a nice feather in their cap. There's also new liveries here for Clint Smith's team. A driver I want to keep an eye on. Let's make sure he's here I think I saw him in the entry list here, and that was Rivera, who had a great race earlier in the season opener, and then this last format just killed him. Let's make sure he's here today. Yes,
he is.
Marcelo
yes, sir.
Rivera. Yeah. Now keep an eye on him. he was really impressive in the opening race that we had, and I think it was Road America. But then this last format that we ran, where there were 2 races, he didn't do as well. So you won't see him up in the standings, but keep an eye on that guy.
Yeah, he's in that Logitech Blue machine, and we'll hope for a good race for him. Car looks really stable so far. Nice qualifying effort. The checkered flag is out on that session. Marco Rivera finding 7th.
And the good news for Marcelo is they do have that drop week that we talked about. So even though he had a horrible, while it is still a 15-race schedule, and probably that's be hard to avoid disaster the entire way, at least he has knowing he can get rid of that horrible event that he had last time in England. They're just finishing up their hot laps right now. It looks like everybody has put in a time. We're just waiting for a few of the guys to finish up their final lap that they got going. As we look at Rivera, I'm looking at Rivera. He looped there.
Yeah, Bill, that team, the Evolution Racing Australia team, now on board with Logitech, just picked up that sponsorship. Really happy to talk about that, but nice new livery on that car. Some new liveries out there today. Clint Smith, another one of them, riding with the new livery today. So some new color out there in the field to watch.
Yeah, just trying to keep the announcers on their toes. Just when I get them memorized, they start switching them up on me. Let's go ahead and call out the grid now as qualifying is done. Remember, we have a 15-minute sprint race ahead. So sitting on the pole, Benjamin Smith. That's a name I'm not familiar with. We'll see how he does. Outside of him on row 1 is Richard Hampstead. Certainly we know him. Gary Hamilton, that's our wild card entry in that BMW inside of row 2. Joe Piesnick, your race 1 winner outside of row 2. Scott Tamlin and Joshua Anderson make up the 3rd row. We talked about Marcelo Rivera trying to come back after a bad second race, sitting inside of row 4. Zachary Hanlon outside of him in the 8th position. And the 5th row is made up of Mitchell McLeod and Sam Sutton. Sean?
All right, let's do it. The number 27, a Hayden Dodman, 11th. Tom Jones starting on the outside of row 6 and 12th. Michael Healy starting 13th today. Mark Rayner, 14th. David Jellings in 15th inside of row 8. Justin Strickland will start outside of him in 16th. Warren Pickering inside of row 9, 17th. Riley Blythe will be starting 18th. Simon Feigl, he'll start 19th there on the inside of row 10. And then Matt Forbes will be there in 20th.
And we have 35 drivers signed up. 34 have posted a time. Looking at row 11, Jared Tyerman and Jackson Freer in the 21st and 22nd position. 12th row, Martin Slavasi and Jeremiah Morden. Row 13, Grant Hines and TJ Brown. 14th row is Mark Simon and Phil Gadd. 29th and 30th go to Nathan Waddell and Aaron Farmer. Sean, why don't you close it out?
All right, let's do it. And now will be the last 5 in this field. Jay Kennedy in a number 31. He'll start 31st. Clint Shane Smith, 32nd. Philip Wallace, 33rd. Zachary Logan, 34th. And Jake Maloney not posting a time. He'll start 35th.
Okay, most of the drivers are now gridding up behind that beautiful pace car there, the iRacing American Childhood Cancer Organization. Look at that car glisten in the morning Australian sun. Keep an eye now on Benjamin Smith. You'll see him in car number 151. That's that blue Logitech machine. He's got the pole position outside of him. And that's in the next level racing of Richard Hampstead in the 93 machine. The easy car to spot is that McLaren back there, that Elements Racing multicolored, beautiful paint job on that McLaren. And then that black win the day, that BMW of Gary Hamilton.
Bill, this is a lot of cars on this track. A lot of very angry GT3 machines. This is going to be fun.
Pace car ready to pull in, and it does. And Benjamin Smith leads them down into that first left-hand bend into turn 2, which is Coca-Cola. Keep an eye on the car on the inside. They go too wide back there. That's Tamlin.
3 wide.
Yeah. Tamlin and Hampstead in a battle.
Oh.
Hampstead gets the best of that. Tamlin gets a little bit of a hello back there from the McLaren.
Simon Feigl takes a hit. He's off the track into the sand, getting it back under the power. Car is all beat up.
Joe Piesnik in 5th has that McLaren locked in there. Now Anderson locks in 6th position.
Feigl around again.
Maybe Jeremiah Morton. It looks like he got upside down and he was rolling on the lid. There are no yellow flags. Phil Gadd also involved in that.
David Jellings also got caught up, Bill. Several cars. Jeremiah Morton, that was the car that wound up on its lid.
Bringing up the replay right now.
Yeah, Jeremiah gets clipped from behind and it sends the car up and over. You'll see it right there. Oh, yeah, you don't want to be pointed in that direction, Bill.
Well, that's the bad news. The good news is there are 2 more race sessions for those guys to get back in and try to make up a little gap. So while this heat race is over for them, there's still chances for them later on in the afternoon and later this evening to pick up some spots. Your leader right now, Benjamin Smith, out in front, being chased by Gary Hamilton. Hamilton in that BMW. Nice to see that machine doing so well. Hampstead in 3rd. Scott Tamlin having a great race in 4th. Then we go back to the first McLaren, Joe Piesnik, Josh Piesnik, and then Joshua Anderson in 6th.
Well, now things have spread out just a bit, Bill. We had a little bit of carnage there early, but everybody seems to have kind of got into a race form now and settling in for a nice drive around here for just a few more minutes.
Yeah, they got to hustle. Let's go to 7th position. We talked about him. Marcelo Rivera started 7th and is still holding down that position, but he's got some guys behind him. Look at this train behind him. Hanlon back there, McLeod, Sutton, Dodman, Healy. There's a... Get all aboard here, as there's a long train behind Rivera running in 7th. And actually, Rivera's starting to pull away. I think maybe Hanlon in 8th is the guy holding up that train.
You know, as big a fan of the McLaren as I am, unfortunately, I think the McLaren doesn't get to explore its power band here enough, and not quite the handling car that these BMWs are, to be honest with you, and the Mercedes for that matter, as they tend to try and pull away from the McLaren's. Piesnik back there, sitting there, and
Scott Tamlin has pulled off. Not sure what happened in the Audi. Oh, he put it in the wall. He put it in the wall coming around the final turn 12. He was running 4th at the time. That was your best running Audi. We're looking at it on replay. Watch him as he comes around, just corner exit. He just glides it into the wall. I guess that Audi's a delicate machine because he called it a day there, or at least called it a heat. So, bad news there as we lose one of the Audis, and they were hard-pressed to find any of them running up in the top 10. That was your best car. Let's go back.
Bill.
Pass for the lead now. Hamilton peeking in on Smith. Now Hamilton falls back.
Bill, I was talking about Piesnik. He's getting passed right now. Zachary Hanlon making a move to the inside, heading into the turn. Piesnik getting stuck up top. And they're just all coming right through. 4 positions lost. Right. Oh, a little bit of contact.
Yeah, the McLaren is really getting in trouble. He's getting pressured right now by Michael Healy. That's for 10th position.
Yeah, he really got picked up a lot there on the straight. Again, I just don't know if the McLaren's got enough room on this track, enough distance here to really stretch its legs and show its power. The handling cars are beating him. Oh, we got a lot of cars off the track there coming out of turn 2.
Zachary Logan involved in it. Also in it is Jay Kennedy. Looking at Logan, I think he started it with this a self-spin here in that
I believe
Audi.
so. Yeah, I believe so. It looks like got into the turn okay, but off. He got on the power maybe just a little bit too quick. And the car behind him, the Mercedes behind him spun. I'm trying to see who that was.
That was Jay Kennedy. I think what happened is Jay started to check up. He saw the problems in front of him, and I think he got touched from the car from the rear. So when they did make contact, that's what I think happened there.
Yeah, and Jay got back on his way just fine. Now, certainly a lot of work to do. He's sitting at 23rd place, but, makes a little contact with the wall coming out of the last turn, heading up the straight. A little bit of damage on that Mercedes. That's one of the Torque Inc. machines.
John Piesick now in 16th position. The McLaren is just struggling as he is dropping like a pigeon now. Really struggling to keep a strong position going. Started 4th. Certainly had the speed, Sean, but apparently the car either maybe picked up some damage or it just doesn't race well.
Well, it does have some front-end damage on both sides, left and right, and that could be affecting the handling just a little bit. Now, the McLaren's an awful durable, awful tough machine. It's mid-engine, so we don't have to worry about the motor at this point, but certainly ventilation could be an issue or just the overall handling. But, yeah, he's dropped real quick, and even now Matt Forbes, the next McLaren, catching up to him. But the highest runner McLaren right now is going to be Justin Strickland, who's got himself up to 11th place.
Your top 3 still running in a nice single-file race, and we'll go hit that Smith out front. He's been there for most of that, I think, wire-to-wire so far. Scott Hamilton took a little peek, but has been running in second all the way. And Richard Hampstead back there. But the guy that we talked about pre-race, the guy to keep an eye on, 4th place, Marcelo Rivera. He was running way far back, started in 7th, got around 3 guys, and now distancing himself away from Joshua Anderson. Remember, this is a long event, so all Rivera is really trying to do, there's no points for this heat. He's just trying to position himself for the next heat and get himself into a great spot for that main event. And so far, looks like his plans are going according to plan.
Always good when things go according to plan, Bill. Still lots of cars battling out here, though. Again, positioning yourself for the next heat.
Hanlon finally makes a mistake. You saw it on screen. He's been being pressured the whole time. And now McLeod has the run on him. McLeod, Hanlon still on the preferred position. Doesn't give up the ghost. Hanlon now fighting back. McLeod loses the position. Ducking to the inside is that white number 888. It's Sam Sutton as they go 2 by 2. Somehow Hanlon was able not only to fend off the challenge,
That was
cost McLeod a spot.
That was that side-by-side battling over the bridge I was talking about. They pulled it off there. You don't want to try it too many times. That's a little bit of luck. A little bit of luck involved with getting over the bridge there.
3 Mercedes going at it there. Hanlon's doing a great job making that car very wide as we ride on board now with Dotson. He's the car he's actually 4th back, looking ahead at McLeod, Sutton, and then the car up in front, which is Hanlon. 3 in front of him. Boy, Sean, you can see that early morning Australian sun. The yellow sky there as the sun looks like it's just coming up, the long shadows. Keep an eye on those shadows as we go through the different events here today.
It's a thing of beauty. It certainly is a nice roll through the Australian countryside, sir.
As we stay on with Dotson, Hanlon now being pressured again. This time it's not by the guy last time, which was McLeod. This time it's by Sutton. Sutton looking for anywhere to go. He's got to try to, it's a risk versus reward type thing here. Sutton would like to get that position. It would be nice to start 6th. That's 1 row up in the starting position for the next heat, but not if it costs him a spin, which would cost him 7 or 8 rows, and Hanlon is in the wall.
Oh, Hanlon having such a great run.
Now side by side with this real similar painted car. I don't believe his teammates. There goes Mitchell McLeod. Finally gets around him. Up into 7th. You can see Hanlon just getting loose in the car on corner exit as we look on this long wide-angle shot. Hanlon's the car out in front. Boy, it looks like he almost missed his corner entry there because he didn't even come close to getting to the apex. Yeah, might have picked up some dirt coming out of the chicane, and so now we'll go back to live. He's under pressure right now, and he's banged by Healy. Michael Healy gets into him. Healy gets 9th position. Hanlon falls back to actually Justin Strickland gets that McLaren by him. Hanlon falling back to 11th. Sean, we talked about risk and reward. Well, that's the first R there. That's the risk.
Tom Jones Jones having quite the battle back here with Mark Rayner. Just punted him a little bit. Maybe not a punt, but he did put the horn to him as they come up the straight. That allows Rayner to get a little bit of distance. Now we've got a battle just behind Rayner.
Pickering coming on the inside. Rayner doesn't give him a lot of room. Or I'm sorry, Jones doesn't give him a lot of room on the outside.
Tom not playing too nice right there.
They bang.
That's a couple of Mercedes going after each other.
This track is so narrow. They seem to get through their straight, and they're still side by side. Finally, they bang again. Can he straighten it out, or is that the end? Finally, yeah, Pickering has to give it up. He's going to be able to save the car. Drops back to 15th. Loses position to Blythe. And Tom Pussycat Jones still holding 13th position.
Pickering having to dirt track it right there.
That was a great job.
Something had to give, unfortunately.
Well, they went side by side. They got it longer than I thought they were able to do it, and they managed finally. So, like you said, something had to give.
Bill, this heat race is almost over, my friend.
It is. We are looking now under 3 minutes. And again, you're not missing anything up front. It's still 1, 2, 3. Those guys are pretty much behaving themselves. So maybe we can go up and take a look at them right now. Smith out in front. A little bit of pressure now being done from Hampstead on Hamilton there for second spot. Green Eggs and Hampstead would like to get that spot. That would put him on the front row rather than start back on the inside of row 2. So see what Gary can do as he works on that BMW that's out in front of Gary Hamilton.
Yeah, I'm hearing Hamilton maybe been a little bit spotty with the connection. Hopefully he can keep it together. A little bit of damage on the rear end of that BMW, but hasn't affected it too much. That car's been strong, but Benjamin Smith has really paced the field here, Bill, and looked really clean every trip around. He's going to be a tough one to beat here today.
Smith qualified 3rd, so what he's going to do is get up 1 position. He picked up 1 position for the next heat. He's going to get to start from pole position. He's going to like that. Certainly likes the clean air. That car seems to run very nicely in front of him. We'll stay on this a bit. We'll stay on the leaders here as we're down under now 2 minutes to go. So I probably we might pick up the white flag as they come around this time. We'll watch. They're coming on the back of Aaron Farmer. We'll see how that plays out. They might run up onto the back of traffic before they get too long. Smith out in front.
Mark Rayner making a dive to the inside. Sorry, Bill. Oh, when he makes contact. That with Zachary Hanlon. Those two battling. Rayner gets away as they head over the bridge. Thank you very much, sir, Mark Rayner.
Yeah, Rayner got into Hanlon, and Hanlon was able to keep that car going straight.
I don't know how. I really don't. He really did a great job of hanging on to that machine.
And then Pickering was able to pick up a spot also from Tom Jones there. As we're down to 55 seconds left. Don't think they got the white flag. I think we'll probably go around one more time. I don't see the white flag yet, so Smith still out in front. Hamlin and Hampstead running 1, 2, 3. That's pretty much has settled down. Rivera comfortably in front of Anderson. I think those guys have settled for 4th and 5th. They've got around. We talked about Farmer. The leaders were able to get around Farmer. Wallace back there running in 29th. Wallace does a good job getting out of the way. Sam Sutton in 6th. Mitchell McLeod in 7th. That's sorted out nicely. Dodman in 8th is having a quiet time. The real excitement for this race, Mr. Excitement, has been Hanlon back there.
I'll tell you what, the battle back here for 11th place, which Mark Rayner finally took over, that's been a really great battle. That if you get a shot at the front end of Rayner's car, it does look like a Saturday night short track modified. The front end of that, he has made his way through the field. Let's face it, with no apologies, Bill.
Leaders are just going over the bridge right now. The Okayama Bridge coming around turn 6 and 7. Through Foster's Dip, and now they go through 9. Momo Corner. Through the dog leg. Into the final corner, Recaro Corner, that's the 12th. They come across for the checkered flag. Benjamin Smith, Gary Hamilton, and Richard Hampstead. 1, 2, 3. Marcelo Rivera, we told you to watch out for him, gets 4th. Joshua Anderson. The rest of these guys are all cycling through. Looking for a close battle farther back. Looks like everyone's pretty much behaving. Let's go back and look at 11th place here for Mark Reiner. Close little battle here for 11th. He's being challenged by Warren Pickering in 12th.
That's a drag race of the Mercedes versus the BMW.
And I think the big news right now is 17th spot, John Piesnick. That's your race 1 winner. He's up in the standings having a horrible first heat. Coming across in, looks like it's going to be 17th overall. He's going to have his work cut out for him for the rest of these 2 heats. Still plenty of time for him to make up those positions.
Yeah, definitely Piesnick will get another shot at it, but certainly had trouble in that McLaren today here in this first heat race.
So what we'll do now, usually we go to break, but what we're going to do right now is we'll run down the entire standings here of this first event. And as our director brings it up, there you go. You saw Benjamin Smith, Gary Hamilton, and of course Richard Greenacres and Hampstead going 1, 2, 3. Marcelo Rivera, we told you to watch out for him, and certainly he was impressive. Joshua Anderson in 5th. Then the last 5 in the top 10, Sam Sutton, Mitchell McLeod, Hayden Dodman, Michael Healy, and Justin Strickland. Sean, who do you see in the second 10?
All right, and that was Mark Rayner nailing down 11th place. Warren Pickering in 12th. Tom Jones, 13th place. Riley Blythe in 14th. Jake Maloney, 15th. Mark Simon, 16th. John Piesnick in the McLaren, 17th. Zachary Hanlon, 18th. Jackson Freer, 19th. And Grant Hines in a number 177, rounding out the top 20.
And as you look, there's Piesnick and Hanlon. They started 4th and 8th, so those were your big losers. 21st position, hitting blackjack, David Jellings. Clint Shane Smith behind him. TJ Brown, Matt Forbes, 23rd and 24th. In the quarter century mark goes to Jay Kennedy. Simon Fiegel in 26th, 27th, 28th, and 29th goes to Philip Wallace, Nathan Waddell, and Zachary Logan. And then rounding out the top 30 is Aaron Farmer. I'll close this out here for you. Martin Slavasi back there in 31st. We've seen Slavasi do a little better than that, so we'll see if he can pick it up. 3 laps down, obviously had some problems. Phil Gadd, Scott Tamlin, Jeremiah Morden, and Jared Tyerman. Not sure Tyerman actually took the grid. We'll see if he shows up for the next heat. All right, boys and girls, what we're going to do now is take a short little break. Then we'll come back and we're going to give you another one just like we saw. The only difference will be it'll be afternoon. It won't be the early morning time. So check back with us in just a few minutes. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of Round 3 of the iRacing Driver Association's GT3 Series. This is the second heat now, the second 15-minute heat. If you were with us for the first 20 minutes of the show, you just witnessed a great, exciting heat number 1, 15 minutes of intense racing. Sean, they really packed in a lot of excitement in 15 minutes. So now here we are for the second one. They're going to grid the field based on the results from the previous heat. Everything's pretty much the same except the weather. What do you got?
Oh, let's talk about this weather report here and what we've done since the last session. First of all, we're dealing with 60% usage on this track. So we've rolled over some more rubber and a little bit more used up track out there. But let's talk about that weather. Bill, it's a beautiful 78 degrees Fahrenheit out. It's 118 degrees on the track. Now that's blazing. We talked in the first race about this track by nature being a little slick, some really challenging turns. 118 degrees, you're going to have to make adjustments. You got to do it now in this little practice session. You better know what you're doing because you're going to need it now. Not as much humidity out here, so maybe it won't be quite as slick, but again, I talk about that 118 degrees. That's really hot track temperature. That's going to heat these tires up quick. It's only a 15-minute race, but as we saw in the first race, it doesn't take much to get in trouble and get off this track. So again, let's keep an eye on that 118 degrees out here on track.
You know, no offense, Sean, but if the iRacing Driver Association, we're going to do a lot of these things where we're going to have a lot of weather reports. Maybe GSRC can spring for a nice, young, attractive reporter of the feminine persuasion. I don't know what they have in Australia, but in America, we like to have pretty weather girls out here. So we'll see if we can do something, because weather reports are going to be very important in this series as we do these multiple heats. Let's go ahead and look at some of the stories. Now, let's talk about the track. You talked about it being hot and slick. What they do is they start this at 60% rubber put down here. So a little bit of rubber on the track for these guys.
Just a little bit more to work with here, and that might create a little bit of grip for you. But what it's also going to create is those marbles left on up outside of the groove, and if you're not in the groove and you're out of it, that's going to be a condition that's not going to be a lot of fun. Again, all these classes out here, all three classes today, very squirrely around this track, getting around. We've got the Mercedes, the Audi, the McLaren, and the BMW. So I'm sorry, the four classes. We haven't seen any roofs make the field today, so yeah, it's just going to be those four battling it out. But I do like the fact that they've got 60% usage going into this race, Bill. It's gonna create a different racing condition than we saw last, and so is that temperature, and the fact that we're now midday, the sun is up over top of us. And yeah, this is going to be exciting one. Cars all over the track right now, though. This is a fun little practice session, but not much of it left. They're getting ready to go.
And the happiest girl on the planet right now is my wife. Yes, it's afternoon in the sim, but in America, where we're calling this, it's about 4:30 in the morning, and she got up with me, and she's very happy to see that the gremlins that plagued this event last race, they've got that out of the way as we have a nice giant field pulling in here. Let me count how many drivers are about to go to grid. Looks like pretty much all the drivers are back in here. About 34 of them. I think we got everybody back. Let's go ahead, Sean. We got to go through this quickly here and call the grid. Now, this grid is based again on the finishing position of the last race. Benjamin Smith up in front there. Gary Hamilton on the outside of row 1. Richard Green Eggs and Hampstead in row 2. Marcelo Rivera, we said watch for him. He's moving. Sam Sutton and Mitchell McLeod in the 3rd row. 4th row is made up of Hayden Dosman and Michael Healy. Back in the 5th row, Justin Strickland and Mark Rayner. Sean?
All right, there we go. And starting in 11th is going to be Warren Pickering. And just outside of him, Tom Jones starting in 12th. Raleigh Blythe in 13th. Jake Maloney, 14th. Mark Simon, 15th. Joe Peasnick, going to start 16th.
Keep an eye
Zachary,
on him.
Yes, sir. Zachary Hanlon starting 17th. Jackson Freer, 18th. David Jellings, 19th. And Clint Shane Smith will start 20th outside of row 10, Bill.
21st position is TJ Brown, Matt Forbes. Row 12, Jay Kennedy, Simon Fiegel. Next row, Philip Wallace, Nathan Waddell. Row 14, Zachary Logan, Aaron Farmer. The 15th row, Mark Slabasi and Phil Gadd. Then the final 2 rows there, Scott Tamlin, Jeremiah Morton, and Jared Tyerman rounding out the field. We are green. And we have our lead
contact already.
Go into the first looking for contact. Boy, they are really bunched up. Our leader, is that Scott Tamlin out there in front? Is what I was looking at. Is my timing scoring correct on that?
Well, on the start, it was Mitchell McLeod that basically got turned into the wall by the 48, got outside of him. That was Michael Healy getting to him, and then it was just a rough trip.
McLeod is in trouble again. McLeod getting banged all around. He's getting lays like a piñata, but he's able to keep the candy inside. Boy, he is falling back.
He's falling back, but he's still running, baby. He is charging.
My gosh, it was like a kid's birthday party. They were swinging up from all directions.
Ooh, more beating and banging there as he gets by Healy on the grass. McLeod just letting it all hang out right now, Bill, on the start of this heat.
Whew. And my timing and scoring is finally catching up. Okay, it was a little trouble. I'm good on here now. Let's go ahead and set the top of the grid. Hampstead out in front. Sam Sutton in second. Now those guys were gridded 1-2. They're fine right now. They were set at 3-5 actually, and they're running 1-2. Rivera has moved up to third position. Dodman in fourth, and Benjamin Smith in fifth. Smith was your pole sitter, and he was the piñata, but he's got it going straight.
Bill, we missed a big one coming out of turn 12. Bunch of cars involved. The 27 of Aaron Farmer. A couple cars just off track and a lot of damage back there. We'll pick it up on the replay here.
Oh yeah, Farmer involved. One car got turned around on its lid.
It's just a big checkup.
I think it all started. Jackson Freer might be the guy to get an eye on. Yeah, he might have been the guy who started it in the 25 machine. I think he got tagged by McLeod. And those two cars went into a kind of a simultaneous spin, and then Freer got into Healy, and then everything went south after that.
Yeah, that was just a mess, absolute mess. Piesnik already up to 10th, Bill. He's on the move.
Yeah, now Piesnik was your second fastest, not really qualifier, but put in the second fastest practice time of all the cars. Of course, that practice time didn't mean anything for him, change up grid positions, but it shows how fast he is. He's got that McLaren going.
Yeah, he's having a much better trip around us. Oh, and just as we're talking about him, he's loose coming off the turn, all the way into the grass. Don't bring that car back up on track. Ooh, he's able to hang on to it. Man, that was close. But he's going to lose all those spots, Bill.
Boy, he's running out of opportunities to get that car up because this is only another 15-minute race, and before the main event starts, he's got to try to see what kind of positions he can pick up.
Well, he's certainly not winning the day right now. That's a tough break for Piesnik. That's going to drop him all the way back to 14th place, I believe, is where you're going to cycle back to after that.
Let's go to sixth position with Justin Strickland in that McLaren. That might be our best McLaren right now, running in sixth. He's made up 3 spots, and right beyond him, here's a hard charger picking up 5 spots. Tom Pussycat Jones doing a great job.
Oh, Gary Hamilton off track.
See if we can find that. I'm seeing Zachary Logan off track as well, so let's see if we can pick up Hamilton. He's a front runner.
Yeah, I'm picking that up right now, actually. Yeah, Hamilton heading down into turn 1. It looks like contact with the 267 of Riley Blythe. Those two getting together. Blythe getting off track, coming back up on the surface, and makes that contact.
Blythe got the right side tires off into the sand, then he looped it around right in front of Green Eggs and Hamilton. Sorry, that's really not Green Eggs and Hamilton. Wrong ham there. Don't throw that nickname. That belongs to Hampstead. Don't be stealing that one. Green Eggs out in front right now. Yeah, go ahead, John.
I was going to say we could call Richard Hampstead the hamster, but that nickname already taken by someone. So
Hampstead out in front. Sutton in second. These guys all started up front doing really good. We're looking right now at Riley Blythe in a battle for 12th.
You know, once they start to spread out, the battles become harder to find. But here's one, Simon Feigl on the inside.
Oh my goodness.
Feigl making a nice move down there into the turn.
Tamlin gets in front of that. Scott Tamlin actually out there in 14th, got around Feigl. Those cars were locked together. Like apparently they were not worried about any kind of net code problems because they were real close. Now look at Feigl being pressured by Jeremiah Morton back there. This is a battle for 15th. A 5-car train. Blythe out in front, Simon behind him, Tamlin there in the middle. Feigl and then Morton.
Yeah, Tamlin and Simon are really having quite the battle right now. Those two having a little bit of fun here in this second heat race.
Blythe is pulled away from that yet, but Tamlin is really being pressured. I'm sorry, it's Simon being pressured by Tamlin.
Oh,
there's Tamlin dipping to the inside. Nicely done.
That also opens the door for Morton. Not able to get it done, though. Not able to pull that off. He had a shot there.
So Mark Simon locks into 14th position.
Here's Rayner back here, Madeline again.
That's Morton ahead of him. Nice battle. In fact, up ahead, slowing this whole train down is 14th again is Mark Simon. This is a great battle going on. 14th, 15th, 16th. Look at these guys back here as we're watching McLeod and Rayner. They're all being held up by the car running up there in 14th position. Mark Simon. Wow, a great battle going on here. So that goes all the way back to Martin Slavossi in the mix. And at the very tail, the very back of this is Joe Piesnik in 21st in that beautiful multicolored McLaren. You'll see him at the tail end there. You see him at the he's the caboose in the train.
Yes, sir, he is. You know, much like the last race, some really, really good mid-pack racing. Leaders seem to have this thing figured out, but mid-pack, it's been some really, really fine side-by-side racing. Very challenging, very competitive out here today.
Got to be frustrating for Piesnik because he can actually look ahead and see. Literally can almost reach out and touch Mark Simon up there in 14th position. Simon is loose up in front, and that's going to let Little Mouse Feigl around the inside. Simon Feigl gets around the inside. Mark Simon, that's S-Y-M-O-N, drops into 15th.
Morton making a move to the inside.
Morton gets it done. Simon falling. There goes McLeod on the inside. Boy, they are just punishing Simon. Forbes now looking to get that position as well.
Yeah, Simon having to now fend off the charge of the McLaren there, and Matt Forbes on the coming, and there's our friend Mark Rayner sitting just behind the McLaren.
As we look at this battle here with Hamlin, that's Maloney on the inside, Hamlin or Jones on the outside. Maloney and Jones going side by side. Maloney still in the preferred position, gets it done. Pussycat able to keep it going. Tom Jones now into 10th. Maloney into 9th, and he's looking here at Hamlin. Poor Zachary Hamlin has been Mr. Excitement. He started 17th. Hamlin has made up 9 spots. He's done a much better job. We said to watch out for Hamlin and Piesnik. Well, Piesnik has not been able to get all the way up because he had that trouble. Hamlin done a great job running in 8th. but Jake Maloney would like to have that spot. Of course, if you can get from an odd number to an even number, that means you get to move up one row.
Looks like Mark Simon might have had a little trouble getting off track by Matt Forbes. Come on the radio, I don't think he was too terribly pleased about that. Simon dropping back as a result of that. Try and pick that up on the replay real quick. Just here about a half a lap ago now. Might have not given my director enough time to pick that up, guys.
Let's see if we can get here. They're pretty good about that.
No, I think it's right here. Yeah, there we go. Going into turn one.
Ooh, a little bit of help there from Tyreman. I think that was Tyreman. If it's not, I apologize. I hate to call the name wrong of somebody who made a mistake. So let's take it. It wasn't not Tyreman. So let's take that away.
It was Forbes in the McLaren. Yeah. Battle heating up for third, Bill.
Look at this. That's Sutton on the outside, on the inside in that blue machine. That's Benjamin Smith. Cialis Bathtubs down the main straight. Now they're going to have this left-hand bend. That's corner one, so that's going to be Smith has the preferred position. Let's see what happens as they go into Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is that strong left-hander, and it looks like Smith's going to get it done. It looks like Sutton's trying to do the over and under. Sutton gives them a little bump and run, and it's going to work as they go through Coca-Cola. Now they dive down into going into three. This is shell corner. Sutton has the inside line, which is preferred. Sutton's going to be able to get that done. Let's see if he gets another love tap. Smith is going to get that done. Sutton dropping back into fourth. Smith gets that done. He had the preferred line going in. Sutton not done yet, though.
We've got Maloney fighting. Maloney and Hanlon back here battling for 7th place.
Look at Hanlon is all over him in that blue number 223 machine.
He is all over him, Bill. Hearing that maybe Sutton had a connection issue.
I think he is gone. He was running third at the time. Going to give up that
position.
Oh,
Hanlon to the inside. Hanlon pulling off the move on Maloney. All out of shape coming off the turn. Great move. Hanlon taking that spot away from
Maloney was out of shape, but he didn't get out of shape on his own there. He got a little bit of a push from Hanlon. And it looks like Hanlon gave him the spot back. Hanlon back to 8th. Nice sportsmanship by Zachary. Well done.
Oh, and Simon Feigl off the track. He's trying to get back on clean. Oh, it's awful close.
Still in a battle there. He was able to let Forbes get around. He's still side by side with Forbes.
Oh, he wasn't able to let him get around. He was drag racing him for sure. Another side-by-side, Phil.
Feigl in the blue car. Forbes in the white car. Feigl is loose. He saves it. Woo!
And Rayner spins off just behind.
I think Rayner saw that and he kind of lost his line there. Is he dropping back 21st, 22nd, 23rd as Hamilton gets around him. Tyreman gets around him.
Yeah, here on the replay. You'll see the side-by-side battle. Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
It's the cars up front is exciting, but watch the guy behind. He gets loose, and then he got a little help. Little help.
Let's get back live here, Bill. Not much time remaining at all. This race is almost over.
Pretty much everything settling down up front. Hampstead out in front. Marcelo Rivera, we told you to watch out for him and having a much better third event now. He's moved his way up to 2nd position. He's got himself perfectly positioned for a victory in the main event. Benjamin Smith running in 3rd. Strickland running in 4th. He started 9th, has worked his way all the way up to 4th. Are we going to get the white flag here? I would imagine this is probably the white flag lap.
Timed events can catch you off guard sometimes, Bill.
Mr. Excitement, Zach Hanlon from 17th up to 8th. And the other driver we were looking to see how he did, P-Stick, really having a hard time. Started 16th and actually dropped 2 spots, running an 18th in that McLaren. Meanwhile, go ahead.
I was going to say McLaren that's not struggling is Justin Strickland doing a fine job sitting there in 4th place. Just got over the Yokohama Bridge. Getting on it. That McLaren pretty hot.
Meanwhile, winner of heat number 2, Hampstead, as he goes around turn number 12. He's going to be starting on the pole position for the main event. Marcelo Rivera has worked his way up from heat number 1 to heat number 2. He'll be on the front row. Smith. Strickland coming across in that McLaren in 4th. Dodman in 5th. Pickering, Maloney, Hanlon, Jones, and Healy round out your top 10.
Yeah, it was a really solid run for Pickering in that one. He had kind of a quiet race and comes home with a great finish there in that heat.
Looking for any battles as they come across. Looks like everybody's pretty much settled down. So waiting for everyone to come across. P-Stick's going to finish in 18th position. Well, Sean, that one was a little, I think, equally as exciting as the first heat, but maybe a little more. Drivers were a little more behaved.
I think so. I think that was more of a practice, a good hot practice before they get into the main. Everybody trying to get an idea of how they'd like to run next to each other, and I think for the most part, everybody did a pretty good job there. It was certainly a little bit more tame than the first heat for sure. I think that was very noticeable.
Well, let's run down the final standings here of the second heat, and we're going to keep an eye on some of the hard chargers that have made up a lot of positions. One that Sean's going to get to call out is Scott Tamlin there. Look what he did in this heat, where he started and where he finished. Looking at your top 10 there, Richard Hampstead started 3rd, going to finish in 1st. 2nd position, Marcelo Rivera. Benjamin Smith making up 5 spots. Justin Strickland in that McLaren. Dotson in 5th, followed by Pickering. Jake Maloney made 7 spots up. Zachary Hanlon made up 9 spots to get into the 8th spot. Tom Pussycat Jones, a few positions made up. Dropping 2 spots was Michael Healy. Sean?
Oh, and then you had Scott Tamlin. Well, let's talk about him for a second.
Yeah, my gosh.
Yeah, Scott started 31st, all the way there at the back, and comes home 11th in the Audi. So, nice run there for Scott. Riley Blythe, 12th. Mitchell McLeod, 13th. 14th goes to Jeremiah Morton in that Mercedes. Matt Forbes bringing the McLaren home in 15th. Simon Feigl, 16th. 17th, going to go to Martin Salvasi. And Joe Piesnik, another tough run for him, 18th. Gary Hamilton, 19th. And then Mark Simon going to round out the top 20 in this one.
Little Mouse Feigl started in 24th, made up 8 positions to get up to 16th. That's a nice run for him. Certainly was exciting. Here's a guy who did not have a great race. Started 10th, went back to 21st, and that was Mark Rayner there in the 21st position. 22nd, picking up 11 spots, Jared Tyreman. Clint Smith dropped 3 spots into 23rd. Picking up 3 spots, Nathan Waddell in the 24th spot. Quarter century mark, but he dropped 7 spots to get there, Jackson Freer. Philip Wallace pretty much started where he finished in 26th. JT Brown, 28th position, goes to Phil Gadd, started 30th, picked up 2. Zachary Logan, back there about where he started, and the same thing for Aaron Farmer. Sean, who we got at the very end?
And then you're going to have Jay Kennedy taking it in 31st place, Sam Sutton 32nd, 33rd going to David Jellingsbill, and man, the Mercs were strong in this one. 8 out of the top 10 go to Mercedes. There'll be something to watch here in the main event.
Okay, well, the first 2 races were dimming the lights. The foreplay is out of the way. The main event is happening in just about 10 seconds. The candles are burning down, so the action is about to start. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back for everything that we have. 20 minutes, no pit stops, and for the points. Back in just a few. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing Channel's live as it happens coverage of the iRacing Drivers Association Round 3, a triple header. They call it the what do they call it? This super sprint. Well, we've had our soup, we've had our salad, and now it's time for the entree. The 20-minute no pit stop, 20-minute dash for the points. Sean, put on your heels and your tight sweater. What's the weather like?
Well, Bill, the weather has taken a really nice turn here in the late afternoon. We have traveled through a full day here in New South Wales and Oran Park, and sir, it's now 77 degrees as the sun is starting to set on the track today, and track has cooled off just a bit as that sun is setting. A lot of shadows out there. 88 degrees on track. Humidity's gone down even just a bit more now, only 55% rising. So we're doing well out here on the track. I would say these are pretty ideal conditions for this race, Bill. And what's not maybe making it too ideal outside of the groove is the fact that we're going to have 80% track usage now. This is a very well worn in track right now, Bill, and the marbles and dust on this track outside the groove will certainly be an issue. It's going to make side-by-side racing very fun. A little bit of sliding around. We've seen plenty already, but I think you're going to see even a little bit more here in this last session as they go for all the marbles, as they say.
Poking me in the shoulder is my spouse, who says make sure to credit the league organizers for running a very smooth event. This has really gone well, and I'm telling you, I had doubts coming into this, Sean, about this format, but I am really liking it now. What it gives us a chance to everyone to catch their breath, gives us a chance to figure out who the top drivers are and what drivers to keep an eye on. We're looking at the qualifying times right now, or at least the practice time, and look up on top, it's still Richard Hampstead.
Yeah, obviously there's several drivers that have this track figured out right now. But listen, this is a run for everything here. These last 20 minutes, this main event, I think you're going to see some people charging a little bit harder. 20 minutes still, not a lot of time to get it done. If you're starting here towards the back of the field, you're going to be in a hurry, and that's going to be something to watch. I don't know, on the start coming out of turn 12, I've seen him go as wide as five wide down that front stretch going into turn 1, which, Bill, is a nice sweeping left-hander, but man, it's awful slick outside the groove.
And I'm really kind of liking the penalty system that this series does. It's significant. 10 points for every 15 incidents that these guys have. I got a hunch that from all the bumping and banging we saw going on the first 2 heats, and remember, these incidents all carry over. They're all added up here to make one big score. I think we're going to be seeing lots of penalty points that can add up to 10, 20, 30 points perhaps. And if we saw how that actually affected the actual winner, or the actual leader of the point standings right now, due to the difference in penalty points. Once again, Sean Joe Peastick, third fastest qualifier. The poor guy is fast in the McLaren. The thing just either it doesn't race well in traffic, or he just having a hard time getting that thing back there. He's going to be starting way back, but boy, he's quick.
Yeah, he's quick, and I think you just nailed it. I don't think he's had a lot of luck in traffic, and that's really, really hurt him. He certainly seems to get around here just fine without any racing around him. But yeah, the traffic has been an issue for him. On screen there, looking at Warren Pickering again, who had a solid run with a 6th place there in that last race, running 10th in practice right now. Warren. Warren could be a factor here. The Mercs are strong. He's going to be in a good spot to start this race, Bill.
And again, I'm seeing 32 drivers' names making it back into this event. A lot of the drivers didn't post practice times. A little worried that they're going to be unfamiliar with with how the tracks feel. One of those is going to be Marcelo Rivera, who's going to start in the 2nd position. Just getting the car out on the track right now, really has not put in any practice. So it's going to be all new for him.
Yeah, well, he doesn't have any time left now because this practice session is winding down here 5 seconds to go, I'm showing here on screen.
So with 32 cars in the field and a kind of short pace lap, we'll hustle through these standings as soon as we get the grid coming up, as soon as that's populated by iRacing, which is going to be any minute now. I could tell you that Hampstead and Hamilton were your two fastest practicers, and John Piesnick was third. And there's our grid. So let's take a quick look at it. Okay, on the front row, as expected, based on the last results from the last session, Richard Hampstead and Marcelo Rivera. Second row, Benjamin Smith and Justin Strickland. That's your best McLaren out there. Fifth spot goes to Hayden Dodman. And then sixth spot to Warren Pickering. The fourth row's Jake Maloney and Zachary Hanlon. He's Mr. Excitement today. Row 5 made up by Tom Pussycat Jones and Michael Healy. Sixth row, Sean?
Scott Tamlin in 11th. Riley Blythe, 12th. Mitchell McLeod, 13th. Jeremiah Morton, 14th. Matt Forbes, 15th. Simon Feigl, 16th. Martin Slavasi, 17th. Joe Piesnick, 18th. Looking for a better result in this one. Gary Hamilton, 19th. Mark Simon, rounding out the top 20.
Now looking at the final rows here as we look at 11, it's Mark Rayner and Jared Tyerman. Clint Smith and Nathan Waddell make up the 12th row. 13th is Jack Freer and Philip Wallace. 14th, J.T. Brown, Phil Gaddin. 14th, 5th row, Zachary Logan, Aaron Farmer. And the final two spots are going to go to Jay Kennedy and David Jellings. All right, they are rolling. Pace car coming around the final corner for a very short pace lap, ready to duck in. Gather up the chickens, take cover behind the cows because the horses are out of the barn. And on the outside, it's Jay. Is that Jay Kennedy? That can't be right. No, but I'm not looking. Let's see the outside. Sorry, it's Hamilton's.
Oh, several cars off the track. Oh, and a terrible incident there on a turn 2.
Oh, my goodness. They're all banged up.
Mark Simon was one of those. Simon taking a hard hit.
Piesnick got into Kennedy, and I believe that's what started it. Watching the replay now.
Oh, it was Jeremiah Morton that took a really hard hit in that one. You'll see it here in just a moment. The number 23. He's the one that makes it all the way out to the wall there.
A lot of cars involved in that one. We'll see if we can list them all. Get one more time with a better view. Meanwhile, you're not missing anything up front. It's Hampstead and Rivera right now as we watch the replay. Look how many they were abreast there, Sean.
Yeah, well, going down, you see him try to make it 5 wide almost there into 1. And every start has been like this, Bill. The start to every race. You see the car track off there to the right. Now, he's the unlucky one. He saves it. He saves it.
Oh, and then 2 cars off in the grass. Boy, my goodness.
Yeah, that was the 23 of Jeremiah Morton, who's just now making his way into the pit. That car just destroyed. No front end left on it.
We'll try to run through the entire field now. So this is for points. We'll try to get everybody a little screen time, give everybody an idea of how they've set out. Why don't we take a second and run down the top 10? Hampstead out in front. He's got a comfortable lead, almost a second over Rivera. Then about a half second back in a great battle going on here. Dodman and Smith battling for third. We'll try to come back to that one in a second once we run down this top 10. Strickland in that McLaren in fifth, being chased by Mr. Excitement. And we'll look at this now. Zachary Hammond taking a peek inside, and I think Hamlin's going to get this done. Let's stay with it. Oh, my good. Strickland got a little bit loose. They're still going at it.
And that puts Warren Pickering up on his lid back there. Oh!
Yes, look at all this cars that got involved in that one.
Oh, poor Warren Pickering was having another really solid run.
Hamlin is done. That was the dive bob that came in there was Pickering, and then Pickering got almost turned over.
Well, that escalated quickly, Bill.
Yeah, that was Pickering getting in there late. Also the car that was caught Hamilton in trouble. 3 top names out. Well, let's continue our rundown. We got back there to about 5th, and then all the excitement happened. So Strickland now running in 5th. Let's go back to 6th. It's up to Riley Blythe. 7th position, Scott Tanlin. Oh my goodness, look who is up into 8th position. It's Joe Piesnick, made up 10 spots. Forbes is in 9th, Matt Forbes, and then in the top 10, made up 7 positions, is Martin Zilvasi. Sean, why don't you take a second and look back at 11th. There's a nice battle going on there with Freer and Tom Jones for you.
Yeah, there certainly is. Tom Jones involved in another battle. No big surprise there. And then just in front of Freer there, Martin Savasi. But Freer sitting in the middle there under attack. Tom is he's showing the strength of that Merc once again. But Jackson having a really, Tom almost making a little bit of contact with Freer as they get through the turn. Good, close battle right here. On board with Tom Jones. Tom's got a little bit of damage there on the front end of that machine, but still seems to be handling pretty well.
Yeah, the slow car in that trade might be Zilvasi up in 10th.
You know, it does look like Tom's power down the straight been affected a little bit by that damage. But a lot of turns on this track, so plenty of opportunity for him to close again.
Freer in 11th, Jones in 12th, Rayner back there in 13th. Looking at the battle right now as we look at Tamlin in a battle with, I guess that's Blythe up ahead of him. This is a battle for 6th. Did I get those right? Yep.
Yeah, Blythe under attack right now. That Audi pretty strong. We saw what Tamlin did in the last race.
There's another Element McLaren out there.
Yeah, that's the.
Oh, that's
the
right.
Element,
That's
yeah,
an Audi. Yeah, sorry. How could I get those two cars confused?
That's okay. I mixed up a Kia and a Porsche the other day, so we're good.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Nice to.
Sometimes your eyes plays tricks on you, Bill.
Like to have the salesman mix up the price tag on those if you could.
Well, I'd take that deal, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no kidding. So we're looking now. We're still on. That's Blythe out in front in the Mercedes, the car number 267, being chased by the Audi of Scott Tamlin, car number 333. Really, your closest battle in the top, probably in the top 10 to get back to those guys that we were looking at before. Looks like this is settling down a bit.
Well, the key word in what you just said was battle. They're battling right now, Bill. Got a little bit more time to work with here. Everybody looking for an opportunity for someone to make a mistake, and you take advantage of that. And right now, everybody settled in, looking strong, and just taking it easy here as we hit almost the halfway mark. We'll be there in just a few minutes. Let's check out Forbes. Couple of McLarens battling right there. He's battling with Piesnick. It was a nice overtake there by Forbes.
Yeah, now that's quite an accomplishment there. We've seen those two McLarens battle before. Forbes in the beautiful white scheme that says Baitline Setup. That's the name of that. That's the name of their team, and they are a no frills organization. Nice white thing, white paint scheme.
Yeah, kind of a powder blue there,
blue,
Bill. Yeah,
right.
Picture a pastel blue, if you will.
Oh, see, I don't like Easter egg colors.
It's definitely an Easter egg color for sure.
My bad rods and cones. And meanwhile, no matter what the color him gone as Forbes is really pulling away from Piesnick.
Nah, I don't know about that yet. Here comes Piesnick. Kind of looking a little darty there. Piesnick taking it right up to the wall. Drag race down to one, Bill. A couple of McLarens going at it.
Look at that! I thought that Forbes was going to pull away, then I refreshed, and he was right there. Look at that piece of now moving up into 8th position. Forbes not giving up the ghost. Meanwhile, getting into the back of his Slovasi now. Freer in that mix. Jones also. Look at Jones on the outside and on the inside of Raider. Jones, that's Freer, sorry. That's Jones and Freer. Freer's going to drop back in position. Jones is going to get that Freer fighting back in the 25 machine, but he's going to lose that spot, dropping down to 12th. Watching the whole thing in the popcorn position in 13th was Mark Rayner.
Well, certainly Matt Forbes and Piesnik having a much better run so far in the McLarens. Almost wonder, though, if they're holding these Mercs up just a bit, and that's lending to the brand of racing we're seeing just behind the McLarens here.
Piesnik now back out in 8th after losing the position to Forbes. Forbes pulled away. Piesnik chased him back down and now got it. He's pulling away from 8th. Forbes back in 9th.
Justin Strickland catching Dodman. That's another McLaren, pretty strong here in the main event. Strickland in 5th, trying to catch Dodman for 4th.
That battle going on for 4th position. Not far behind them is that battle still going on for 6th between Blank and Tamlin.
Yeah, a lot of multi-class mixing it up here. That's a battle between the Audi and the Merc.
The announcer union makes me correct you on that. It's multi-manufacturing, but it's all one class, though.
Justin Strickland really having a strong run in the McLaren, holding down 5th, and I got to be honest, he's starting to pick up just a little bit of ground on Dodman. He's starting to close the gap just a little bit every lap here. 10 minutes to go, Bill.
John, keep an eye on the action up front. Cut in. I'm going to drop back to 15th position, run down some of these guys. We have a car off. Piesnik is off. Just when I was going to run down some of these machines, Piesnik got off in the McLaren. Now, he had the white McLaren behind him. Let's see if it was all Piesnik's. There's the powder blue McLaren. There you go.
Yeah.
It looks like Piesnik just did it on his own.
He did. He just started to lose it, was not able to gather it up. Everybody behind him did a really good job of getting around and avoiding him there. But Piesnik able to straighten it out pretty quick, get the car back up on track, but gives up a lot of positions there again. Another tough tumble for Piesnik. That sends him down to 14th place, Bill.
So while we have time, try to run down some of these guys that haven't gotten any screen time yet. If the drivers up front can behave. Let's go to 13th position. Michael Healy. I'll see if I can run all the way back here, maybe to 25th. We see Piesnik. He's got plenty of screen time back there in 14th now. Jared Tyerman running back in the 15th spot. Then it's a little farther back. Tyerman goes off as we talk about him. Little commentator's curse. We look at Farmer. Aaron Farmer running in 15th. Simon Little Mouse Fiegel back there in 17th spot. Oh, another car's off behind him. Jay Kennedy in 19th. Just got to... Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Bill. Tamlin and Blythe fighting for 6th place. Tamlin gets it from makes contact with Blythe. They were side by side. Tamlin able to get the advantage and get away in the Audi.
Tamlin had been working on that since the beginning of the race. Moves up into 6th spot. We'll watch it on replay.
And that was a spirited battle. Neither one of them wanted to give, Bill. I think we caught it just after the pass there. Might have picked that up just a little bit late.
One more time, see if we can find it. There we have it.
And that was just after he made the pass. My bad. I didn't set my... Again, I foiled our director.
Now you see. There, we finally got it on the screen. Nice job. As that pass is made there.
Yeah, and it's a tough spot because you're having to really get on the binders there, slow the car down to make that trip up the hill to get the car straight. That's a great spot to make a move, but it's also very risky there. It's easy to get the car out of shape.
I want to run down the last cars that are on the lead lap here before we have to give the attention up to the front runners. Let's go back to 18th. Clint Smith running in 18th spot. Behind him, a nice little battle. Jay Kennedy in 19th. TJ Brown back there in 20th. Only a couple more cars on the lead lap. Mark Simon back there in 21st. Little farther back to Zachary Logan in 22nd. There's Phil Gadd in 23rd. And then the last car on the lead lap, Philip Wallace, and we'll see if he can go ahead and stay ahead on the lead lap, because let's go back one more car, and that's your leader, Richard Hampstead, about 2-second lead on Marcelo Rivera.
Yeah, and for as good a run as Rivera is having, I just don't know if he's got anything for Hampstead. Hampstead making it look very easy right now in that next level racing Mercedes. Again, the Mercedes so strong here today. I just think they really appreciate this track and these turns. I think that car sets up well here and handles real well. Battle for 9th place, Bill. Tom Jones on the attack.
He's got Slavasi in front of him. Jones looking for a way around as they go across the start-finish line with just under 6 minutes to go. Jones looking to see if he can get this little dog leg left-hander there, and then into Coca-Cola. That's 2. Now they got Forbes up ahead, and there's the pass made. Zilvasi gets a little wide through Coca-Cola, and Jones tucks into the inside. Now they go through this right-hander. This is turn 3, another right-hander for 4, and then they go to the overpass.
Well, it looks like Jones going to dispose of him and now set his sights on catching Matt Forbes. Can he catch up to the McLaren and pick off another spot before this race is over as we wind down with just about 5 minutes to go?
Great performance by Jones today. Really going to help him in the points. Meanwhile, up front, there really is not much battle going on. We're keeping an eye on Rivera. He's trying to close a little bit. It's 1.5 seconds to go, but I think Green Eggs is up there managing the gap. He's comfortable up there in front, and that is Hampstead. Rivera and Smith. We'll look back at this battle here for 12th position as they're culminating. This is Jackson Freer being chased by Mark Rayner.
Yeah, Rayner been a chaser all day for sure. He looks like he's taking a little bit better of care of the car in this one, trying to get a better finish this time. Been a hard charger all day, working on Freer right now, closing the gap just a little bit every lap. But the time is running out.
Yeah, but talking about a hard charger, Jackson Freer making up 13 positions, starting 25th, has made his way up to 12th. While Freer's trying to hang on to Rayner back there, is trying to start at 21st to 13th. Freer also has hopes of getting up to Michael Healy. It's a nice battle going on back there. We continue to ride on board now with Rayner in 13th.
Yeah, Freer did a really good job of navigating the troubled waters here early in this race, getting around a lot of that mess and taking care of the car as he is still tracking very, very well, 12th place, and Rayner not able to set him up for a move yet. He's got a couple minutes to get it done, but he's going to have to set him up here at some point. He's going to have to try and make a run at him.
Yeah, I think the seas parted for Rayner there. He was able to capitalize. Attrition was his friend. We continue to look at that battle, probably the best battle on the track. The only one I'm keeping another eye on, and we don't need to go there, Hayden Dodman in 4th is still being stalked by Scott Tamlin. Justin Strickland in 5th, sorry about that. Strickland in that McLaren.
Tom Jones has made his way to the back of Matt Forbes. Got a little bit of time. Bill, could I ask? It's not unusual to see Tom Jones in the top 10, is it?
Nice job.
I had been looking for an opportunity. I took it. Sorry.
Okay, Millennials and Generation X will have to do a little Google search for that one. Look at Jones, though. Putting the pressure on Forbes. Gets a little bit loose, gets that Mercedes off into the grass, but he's really got Forbes hunting him down.
Oh yeah, and he's charging hard. He's hanging it out there, man. Tom is on the pedal and on the brake and hitting his marks right now, but also exploring the limits of the track, trying to find every advantage he can to catch this McLaren. Man, I don't know. It's 2 minutes to go, Bill. If he's gonna do it, he's got to do it now.
Got to tip your hat to Jones, though. He's had an impressive all 3 events. He's been very aggressive and done a great job. Boy, he is really putting the pressure on Forbes right now. Nothing much going on up front. Well, let's go up front for a minute. We talked about Rivera maybe running down Hampstead. Look at what's going on up there. He's gotten within shouting distance of our leader.
Shouting indeed closed the gap to half a second. He was 2 seconds down, Bill.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just been maybe biding his time. He's got to get going soon. Now they have some lap traffic of Zachary Logan up front. This could play a factor as Hampstead's got to negotiate that. Let's see what Zachary does. It's going to slow down Hampstead. Nothing wrong there, Zachary. You just got there when you got there. Hampstead looks like he's going to be okay, but now Rivera chasing him. The interval is under a half second. Rivera closing as they go through the dog leg turn 1. Rivera right on his tail now. Do we have the white flag yet? I don't see the white flag. I think maybe we have 1 to go after this one. Sometimes iRacing doesn't show it to you. 41 seconds to go. It's going to be close. We'll watch for the white flag. Meanwhile, Hampstead, look at a driver pulling off, letting the drivers go by. Let's give a tip and a hat there to Jeremiah Morton getting out of the way. Meanwhile, back up front, Hampstead beginning to gap them a little bit. Rivera trying to stay with them. We think this is the white flag. We think this is the last corners coming up. So they head down through 9. Marcelo makes a mistake and he's off.
Big mistake by Marcelo Rivera off track.
Gonna surrender that position to Benjamin Smith. Looks like he's going to be able to get out in time to not lose a podium position. Meanwhile, your winner, nope, here's the white flag right now. So we got 1 more to go. Richard Hampstead going around one last time. Looking at the replay, Sean, at the mistake of Rivera, what do you see?
I see a guy driving really hard and maybe just missed his mark there a little bit. Yeah, driving hard, gets a wheel in the dirt on entry right there, and just a slight miscalculation just ends it for him there.
Looking farther back to see if there's any battles before we cover the leader. Maybe the one we might want to watch is Forbes and Jones. That's been going on for a while. We'll see if we can cover the leader crossing the start-finish line. Then we'll jump back immediately to Forbes and Jones. Not really much going on ahead of that. But meanwhile, with only a few more corners to go as he negotiates the left-hander coming around. He's been up front the whole time, winning round 3 of the iRacing Drivers Association event. Richard Hampstead, let's go ahead and back to right. We'll skip all the way back to Forbes now. Sean in 8th position, Forbes being chased by Jones. They only have a few more corners to go as they work through the dogleg right now. Now through 11. Look at Jones trying to find a way, trying to get that car around. Jones has a move, boy, he's blocked. Look at the defensive line that Forbes takes. They go through the final corner. Jones trying to do the over-under. He gets a good drive off that final corner, but he's not going to get it done. And Forbes is going to take 8th spot. 9th spot goes to Tom Jones.
Boy, what a battle between those two. That was great. The whole second half of that race was those two battling it out.
Yeah. Let's go. We have one last battle. We'll go to Jay Kennedy back here. This is for 19th spot. The last 2 cars on the lead lap. Kennedy just ahead of TJ Brown. Brown looking at him as they go through the final corner. Brown trying to get a drive off that final corner, see if he can get this done. Not enough time between turn 12 and the start-finish line. Kennedy's going to bring it home in 19th. Final car on the lead lap will be, I guess it's Peasnick is going to get 20th position there. Timing is scoring a little bit off. I have Mark Simon in 19th and Peasnick in 20th. We'll give you the final standings when we come back after break. Sean, let's take a final break here. Then we'll come back, do final standings, run down driver interviews there, and closing credits. Back in just a few. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing Channel's wrap-up show of the iRacers Association GT3 series. Final event, the grand finale here, the main event. Very exciting. Let's run down your final standings. Richard Hampstead up front for most of all three events, going to bring it home with the big points here. Benjamin Smith going to come in second. Marcelo Rivera, we said to keep an eye on him. Great performance from him. Lost second position there with a mistake at the end, but still going to be happy with those points. Hayden Dodman in fourth, rounding out the top five. Justin Strickland in your top McLaren. Scott Tamlin in sixth. Seventh and eighth go to Riley Blythe and Matt Forbes. Tom Jones in ninth, and rounding out the top 10, Martin Zilvasi. Sean?
All right, let's do it. Let's get to the second half of this field. And in 11th, going to be Michael Healy in the Audi. Jackson Freer, we saw him battling out there in the Merc. 12th place, Mark Rayner. That BMW, you're going to have to settle for a 13th in the main. Simon Feigl, 14th. Jared Tyreman, he's going to go 15th. Aaron Farmer with a 16th place finish. Clint Shane Smith in the McLaren will finish 17th. Jake Kennedy in 18th today. Mark Simon in 19th. And Joe Piesnick with another tough trip around, Bill. No luck, Piesnick. Yeah. One lap down in 20th.
Yeah, Piesnick was the first car one lap down. All these cars now are one lap down or more. TJ Brown hits Blackjack, catching 22. Zachary Logan, followed by Philip Walls. The double dozen position, 4 laps down, goes to Philip Gadd. 12 laps down in the quarter century mark is David Jellings. 26th, 27th, and 28th. Multiple laps down go to Jeremiah Morden, Warren Pickering, and Gary Hamilton. I believe all those guys are caught up in these early incidents. Zachary Hanlon, after all the work that he put in trying to work his way up and back and up and back, boy, talk about a roller coaster day for him. 29th position when it's all said and done. Mitchell McLeod in 30th spot, and the final 2 spots here, 31st and 32nd, go to Jake Maloney and Nathan Waddell. 32 cars took the grid, 32 cars on the finishing order. Let's see if we can go ahead and talk to our winner. We're looking at Sean do it. Looks like we have one driver in there for interviews right now, and it is Richard Green Eggs and Hamilton. Sean, go ahead, see if you, Green Eggs and Hampstead, sorry, talk to our winner, Richard Hampstead.
Richard, hey, congratulations. You got a copy there.
Sure do. How's it going, guys?
Oh, it's going wonderful, man. What a run for you. You seem to have her dialed in, set up really strong on that machine today, and come away with a nice drive in the park, as they would say here on a nice afternoon here in Australia.
Yeah, it was a good fun night of racing. Yeah, just pretty much, did my own thing. The first 2 races, didn't push too hard or anything. Just, but yeah, it was pretty conservative, and it paid off. And then the last race was for points, and had a bit of a shocker of a start, so I had to get a bit defensive there. But yeah, after that, it was pretty neck and neck with Marcelo for a while. He had really good pace, so eked out a gap pretty, just over time. And then towards the end of the race, I had 2 back markers get into each other in front of me, which allowed Marcelo to catch up a little bit more and to put some more pressure on me. But yeah, just managed to hold him off in the end, and yeah, really happy.
Yeah, and he was charging hard. You had him about a little over 2 seconds to the good, and then you got slowed up there and allowed him to close in, and he makes that mistake there, right there at the end, and tough break for Marcelo, but good on you, Richard. I've got to ask, from race to race, with the changing track conditions, did you go in having a setup prepared for each condition, or were you just making adjustments on the fly, knowing that you were working with an open setup here and all the different adjustments you can make on that Mercedes?
Well, I actually just ran the exact same setup for all 3 races. It seemed to suit probably the cooler conditions a little bit more. I don't think my pace in the second race was that great. But yeah, I just ran the same setup. Don't really have my head wrapped around these GT3 setups. So yeah, just went how they were.
Well, certainly got to be happy with your performance here today. A fun event to follow and watch, and we certainly enjoyed seeing you out there. Anybody you'd like to thank there for that next level racing run today?
Yeah, well, thanks to my team, TTL, for all their support over the years, and to our major sponsor, Next Level Racing, and to Clint Smith for organising the series, and to you guys too for broadcasting it.
Well, we thank you again, Richard. Again, congratulations to you. Great run today, and we will see you next time, sir.
Cheers, guys. I will look forward to it.
And that is Richard Hamstead, your race winner, representing Mercedes there and pulling her off in big style, Bill. I believe you have caught up with Benjamin Smith, though, and manages to grab away second place there at the end.
I do. Benjamin, do you have a copy?
G'day guys, how we going?
Hey, congratulations on second place there. Looks like it was going to be a podium finish in third spot, and then Marcelo got a little trouble. Were you close enough to see him lose it?
No, throughout the last few laps, I had heaps of calls from my spotter about cars being slow, so I just assumed it was another lap car, and then when I saw myself pop up a position, I was pretty happy with that.
How did the other two heats go for you? You were up front for pretty much most of the way. You able to stay out of trouble?
Yeah, race one was obviously quite intense from my point of view. I don't usually like to lead from the front the way I did because there's so much pressure with such good quality drivers behind. So, I was really happy to put on pole, quite happy with the time. I did that pretty early in the session, and then, just built on that and made sure to not make any mistakes in the first race, which didn't go so well in the second one. At turn one, I made a bit of an error, but it's all fun and games, and it was great fun coming back through the field.
Yeah, we mentioned some of that in the broadcast about those early heat races. You want to get yourself up there, but the risk, a mistake is so costly. It can put you so far down the grid depending on what you do. Are you a little extra careful in those early events, or do you just race it like you normally do?
When I'm up front like that, obviously I take a lot of extra care, and it really shows on my pace. You can see that in the first race, particularly my pace, I didn't even get into the O2s in virtually the same weather compared to the last race, where I was comfortably getting in the mid O2s. So it really takes a toll mentally throughout the race when you're leading, and you've got to make sure you're putting consistent lap time. So you just take a little bit of extra caution to make sure to not make any mistakes. And but when you're a bit further back in the pack, you can push a bit harder and with everyone.
Yeah, two more questions for you, and I'll get you out of here on this one. Sean asked, but I think it's important. With these quick 10-minute warm-ups, how difficult is the track conditions to figure out there in that brief little practice time?
Oh, it's absolute gold to use all that 10 minutes. I didn't actually realize going into the second race that the temperature was so much different, and I had limited running in the practice session for the second race, and it really showed going into turn one when I just went straight off.
All right, well, here's probably the most important question of all. We'd like to just do something silly here. Which superpower do you want? You can be invisible, you can fly, you can read minds, or talk to animals. What one do you want?
Wow, this is stumped me. I never really thought about anything like this. I'd like to be like the Flash, I guess. Run really fast. That'd be my superpower.
That's not an option. Flying, though. You want flying?
I'll take flying.
All right, flying.
Great.
Running fast, race drivers, all they want to do is go fast. There you have it. Benjamin Smith, congratulations on the finish today. Should really help you in the points.
Yeah, and can I just say massive thanks to Logitech, and it was great having all the blue Logitech cars out there, Logitech G. Jump on their Facebook page, have a look, and it's great to have them on board.
Absolutely can. That's the race driver 101. You got to get in the sponsor plug before we kick you out of here. Congratulations, Benjamin Smith, your second place finisher today. Sean, who you got?
Well, we've caught up with Marcelo Rivera. We definitely want to talk to him, and congratulations, Marcelo, on your podium finish. But I got a feeling maybe you left a little bit on the track. Maybe not quite satisfied with third today.
Overall, I must say I'm pretty happy with third. I had a bit of a slow start in quali, didn't really get up to pace as quick as I would have liked, but had a good first and second race, which helped me set up for the last one. But yeah, like you said, unfortunately, I was sitting in second, but a big moment put me back into third behind Ben Smith. But overall, I'm pretty satisfied with that result. Of course, would have been better to take the win or finish in second, but yeah, you can't get them all.
Well, you did get an opportunity there late. You were closing quick. You'd gotten it to just about a half a second, and that's just that's hey man, that's racing, right? Sometimes you pull off the big move and the big victory, and sometimes it slips away from you. But yeah, again, you got to be happy with the top three and the points that's going to bring you here in the season standings. So congratulations on that big run today. I know it was challenging going from session to session to session, but everything seemed to run real smoothly today. The changing weather conditions, were they a factor for you? Did you have to make a lot of adjustments?
Yeah, definitely did make it interesting, and I actually enjoyed the format with the 3 different races. Yeah, the weather, it changed the car ever so slightly. If anything, it was more just about who could adapt the best, and I felt like particularly in that last race when it went back to cooler temps, I thought I had a bit of the pace over Hampstead, but as soon as he started to adapt to it, I was really struggling to keep up with him, even with the draft. And of course, this track, it's extremely hard to overtake, so it definitely made it harder.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sean.
No, I was just going to say, you talked about how hard it is to overtake on this track. The one great straightaway that you have is not very long. You've got to win that drag race down into one, don't you?
Yeah, it really is. Just looking to get that power down as early as possible and maximise the draft. And then even if you do get a slightly good run, that turn 1, braking into turn 1 side by side, it can get very sketchy. So you've got to really make sure you're up there, and that's hard enough as it is.
Yeah, well,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sean.
No, I was just going to say, we saw a lot of that behind you, of people having trouble getting down into one, definitely on the start of the races. Go ahead, Bill.
I keep butting in. Sorry, buddy. Marcelo, I'm always looking at big picture. You had a bad outing last race, so let's assume you get that one drop race. You're going to eliminate this race to the horrible finish there. What's your real life schedule like? Do you think you're able, this is a long series with 15 events, do you think you're able to show up for all of these, make a run at the championship?
I definitely do plan on showing up to all the races. And of course, I'll be pushing for the championship. We'll see how the season unfolds. I might have to put in a bit more time into testing and getting some setup work done, because it definitely helps coming into races like these.
Well, yeah, from what we've seen, we've watched it this whole time because we knew you were somebody to keep an eye on. You seem to have the pace, and you're definitely a threat to win this thing, especially that we can throw away that race 2 disaster that you had. So congratulations and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you heaps, guys. It was great. I'd just like to mention a big thank you to Logitech for jumping on board with ERA, and to all the boys at ERA who are working on setups. Keep it up, lads.
There you have it, Marcelo Rivera, your 3rd place finisher today. Sean, anything else you want to say there so I don't keep butting in on you, or are you good to go?
No, I think I'm good to go. What a great day here at Oran Park. Got to be honest with you, I've really enjoyed my visit here, and I plan to be back many more times on the iRacing service. In fact, I've already got a short list of cars that I want to get on this track and really explore. One that came up in just the last few minutes. One of the leagues we broadcast runs the trucks on the road courses. I think the truck would be wicked fun here, the Craftsman Truck Series Tundra or Silverado, and we'll have to maybe give that a look and run some test laps here. But awful lot of fun watching these GT3 machines get around today, and good hard racing. This is a very, very tough track, and they displayed a lot of talent out here today for us.
As you can tell by the accents of most of our interviews, this is clearly an Australian-based series, so it's nice to race down under on this event in this venue, and I believe we'll probably be seeing Phillip Island as well, and of course Bathurst is always fun down here. Okay, let's wrap things up. Now pay attention, because these are the people that make this possible, and we have complicated software that tracks all of this, and if you don't watch these closing credits, we'll be putting you on our spam list. First of all, thanks to the iRacing Driver Association for organizing the series and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. Thanks to the Screwed Gamer The Screwed Gamers, and then, of course, Kart Action Media and Zanardi Course Australia for sponsoring this broadcast. Thanks to the companies and equipment and software that you see on the screen right now that we use on the broadcast, none of which I know what it does, but Joe Peak seems to figured it all out and makes everything come out nice for us. The original music that you hear on today's broadcast was thanks to two guys, Eric Echolm and Casey Lalonde. I urge you to go to the addresses that you see on the screen right now and download some of their digital music. Thanks to my mic make. Always fun to work with Sean Ambrose, our director, Joe Peak, Dougie Beard for his camera locations. If you'd like to find out more about the Global Sim Racing Channel, your best bet, of course, is globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel. The next race for the iRacing Drivers Association is in 2 weeks, and of course GSRC will be there to bring it to you. All the actions for details about all upcoming events, go to globalsimracingchannel.com. And now that the sun is coming up in California, it's time for me to go off and have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.